Hi, Colin. Good evening.
All I don't understand with this fella is, prior to having his fence built, he must have had all the permits and everything okayed by the city. As you stated, he was checked 3 or 4 times.
Well, this was after the fence was built. Now, his story, and, people may have a comment on this, by all means. He says that he contacted the city, phoned 311 with the contractor, with the person that was going to make the fence, and he was then transferred to Bylaw. Again, Bylaw Services is making a big deal out of the fact that he has nothing in writing. And now you heard him on the show. He's advanced the story a little bit. He says that the call was made with the neighbor and with the contractor there. They all heard the conversation. It was on speakerphone. He said he spoke to Bylaw and that he was given, where the fence should be located, so far from the curb on his property, yada, yada, yada. Then he had somebody put up the fence, so he would assume the person putting up the fence, he didn't do it himself. He hired someone. So he assumed that person would take care of all that. The fence went up, and then the neighbor started complaining.
The bylaw in Ottawa has way too much power. Way too much power. And the other thing is, I thought our system was based on, if someone puts a complaint against you, I thought we were allowed to face our accusers in this country.
No.
That is ridiculous.
Colin, we did a whole show on this not too long ago. I forget what got us started on this, but...
so it can be anybody, and they can complain, and they don't have to have any grounds for a complaint just to complain.
That's not right. You cannot find out who did the complaint. As a matter of fact, as I'm speaking to you, Colin's coming back to me. It was a news story about a fellow that had gone to court making that exact argument. I forget what the complaint had been. I think it has something to do with a pet, if I recall. A neighbor complained about a dog barking or some such thing. And this person wanted to find out who would register the complaint, took it to court, and lost. And the decision from the judge was that no, you do not, on bylaw issues, when it's a city employee involved, they have the right to anonymity. You cannot find out who was making the complaint.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah, it is.
That has to change. We got to do something to get that changed.
Colin, thank you very much for the call.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Actually, now that I think about it, Mo's dangerous fence actually is connecting up with a few stories we've talked about on the show in the last little while. Do you remember that show we had about bylaw? And there was a court case. I'll try to dig it up for you. So I don't know exactly what happened, but there's a court case where a person went to court, wanted to find out who had made the complaint. The city refused to say, and a judge backed the city, saying, no, if you file a complaint, you have an expectation of privacy, and anonymity is crucial. It's paramount. You cannot find out who filed the complaint. In Mo's case, again, and this has been confirmed, we're not just taking Mo's word on this, Bylaw has visited him dozens of times for cars, for his laneway, for his play structure, now for his fence. And he has no idea who's filing the complaint. Diane, also phoning from Navin. Good evening, Diane.
Hi, Ron. I am so upset by hearing about this story. My heart goes out to this man. There's a couple of main issues here. And number one, you've mentioned it, this right to anonymity somehow supersedes the person's right to the enjoyment of their private property. And the colossal waste of money on behalf of our city, instead of trying to solve problems in this city, the bylaw is pandering to these, I'm going to put it out there in a nutshell, idiots who are making unfounded complaints, and it's just nuisance calls, and they're really upsetting a lot of people. I'm sure that this Mo and his family have suffered a lot because of these ridiculous complaints. And I, as a taxpayer, I am livid, and I hold Jim Watson accountable because our money has been wasted in this action today. And sure, this poor guy is going to get a bill, but it's nothing compared to all the time and energy that has been put into this action by the City of Ottawa, all these visits out there to measure the property line or whatever the excuse of the day is. And in the end, we're spending more and more money, and I hope Mo goes to court, and he needs to know that there are cases like this around the province. I know there's a young man out by Plantagenet Way who's facing this in front of the courts right now. And I can tell you right now, from the little bit that he did say today, I know that there was things the city did there today that are against the law. And that makes me so mad that my tax money is being wasted in harassing a citizen of this city. Like, do we not have any pride in solving problems? We just seem to be creating them. I'm so upset I can't even express this as well as I'd like to. And this will go on and on and on. The city will hire a whole team of high-priced lawyers to fight this in court, to waste our money further and further, and this guy will have, snowball's hope and hell's chance of fighting it, because he won't have the same resources that the city has to throw at it. And that is wrong. Every citizen is innocent until proven guilty. And for our city to do this to a citizen, somebody who cares enough to put up a nice fence, it just boggles me. Like, what are we doing to advance the cause of this city?
Well,
and to be one that's friendly to the citizens instead of this acrimonious, heavy-handed attitude that we have in terms of bylaws. There's so many bloody bylaws out there, even the bylaw inspectors don't understand them all, and that was obvious. They had to go out there so many times to deal with this. I mean, if they had spent $1,000 and got a survey done, they would have known for certain where the property line was, and there would have been no question. And this gentleman, if he saw the facts, probably would have moved it nicely. Or on the other hand,
contact your counselor. I encourage you to contact your counselor. I can see the story is bothering you. Rightly so. By the way, Stephanie Kinfoot, great job on this story. CFRA is breaking the story. I know for a fact that the Citizen and the Sun are both covering it tonight. So, you'll be able to see it online later tonight. You'll be able to read it in the newspaper tomorrow. If the story bothers you, contact the counselor. And I wonder if anybody has a photo of what the street, again, Glendon Crescent out in Orleans, what that must have looked like today. If anybody's living out there, if you took a photo, again, according to Mo, there were 3 police cars out there today to oversee the removal of this dangerous structure. Numerous bylaw officials out there, Hydro One officials out there. So he said the street was just basically, it was a lockdown on the street. You couldn't get in and out as they took down his fence. So if anybody has a photo, send it to me. I'd love to see it. But, follow the story. If it bothers you, contact your counselor. I encourage you to contact your counselor. Let's go out to Stittsville and talk to Terry on this. Terry, good evening.
Hi, Ron. Thank you for taking my call. First-time caller. I think your prior caller certainly touched on a lot of issues that struck to mind when I heard this story when it broke earlier on your show. It certainly is a proven fact that one individual, how they can make things very miserable for others, and that individual certainly not having a chance to basically, yes, he's filed an issue with court, but by the time that does for say take place, kind of the cart before the horse, so to speak. The fence is already down and gone, and he's never had a chance. It sounds like bylaw really does not know what they're doing. So they, if nothing else, should have given them the benefit of the doubt until things were investigated thoroughly, and then proceed as they did today if there was a need to. And I can rest assure you they will not be coming back to rebuild it if it is proven that they were wrong.
No, they won't. They won't. Mo is in tough here. I hope it works out for him. I shudder to think what the bill might be for this. It reminds me of another story that, the degree is completely different, but the Duke of Somerset, that commercial property in the corner of Somerset.
Bank in Somerset, yeah.
Exactly. When that building, when that building collapsed, when the rear of it collapsed a little bit, the city went in immediately, and you probably recall this, and they just shut down that entire intersection.
That's right, for quite some time.
And they shut it down. It was a block dimension, so I think an entire city block, in fact, was shut down for about 3 months. And then they sent the owner the bill for that, if you recall that whole story.
Yep.
And the city being the city, it's not that they sent him a bill. They added that amount onto his taxes.
Exactly.
Thanks
for being a good citizen.
Yeah, and it was over, how much was it? It was over $250,000, if I recall, or something more. So what the cost for 3 police cruisers and, a company of bylaw officers would be, I think, Shudder Mo Hader is about to find out the cost of that.
Right, and this sounds like it's not natural. We have to give the benefit of the doubt. There are 2 sides to every story, but I'm amazed at how composed kept himself.
Yeah.
You know, just listening to him during your interview with him and whatnot. But it's unfortunate. That's certainly, you know, no matter what, you bent over backwards, and it sounds like he certainly tried to appease whoever this individual was. It sounds like it was probably one individual. And I think he used the term, they were basically shooting darts to see what would stick.
Yeah.
And obviously this stuck. And, you know, if they certainly can't be accurate about something, especially to that degree, then they certainly should not have taken the action that they did.
Terry, a great call. I hope I hear from you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Terry, let's take one more before we have to go to break. Let's go to Anne. Phone in from Ottawa. Good evening, Anne.
Hello, Ron. With regards to the fact that there's nothing that can be done about a complaint or they have no way of following it, there is a major problem in the way everything is done in this city. I talked with a neighbor about a hot tub with no enclosure at all. You can't do this. It's dangerous. There's young kids wandering around. Someone could fall in it. Anyway, got nowhere. So finally called 311. Ended up, the person that I was making the complaint about knew someone who worked in the city, got all my personal information and spread it around the neighborhood that I made the complaint. And when I followed this up with my counselor and with the city, only people who are access to this are supposed to be able to get the information, but this individual managed to get the information anyway. They had no way of tracking who acquired information or how they acquired it.
You know, Anne, we've spoken about this before. I recall you phoning in when we did that show talking about this. It's just an absolutely incredible story. What did you end up doing about this? Or was there anything you could do?
No, there was nothing I could personally do other than the fact I know the person did get a warning. He did get a fine. He did have to remove everything or put a fencing up. He did.
And just so I'm clear, Anne, did you complain? Were you the person that complained about the hot tub?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
But I spoke with him first. To try and resolve it on a personal level, and it got nowhere. But the fact was, people within the city can get access and get your personal information, even though they're not supposed to be able to, and they do it. And the city has no way of tracking back on that.
And I don't know exactly what happened there, but I do recall your phone call from some months back, quite distinctly now, because you were saying that you supported the idea of anonymous complaints. You were on that side of that debate. You said that there should be anonymity for people complaining.
Well, there should be. However, what you should be doing first is trying to address with your neighbor about an issue. However, if you do make a complaint, it shouldn't go helter-skelter.
Yeah. And I agree. I remember your call again, and you had an interesting take on it. Most of the callers, and I have a bit of a problem with the anonymity issue, and it sounds like you did do the right thing by speaking to your neighbor initially, you know, a common courtesy that is often overlooked nowadays, and you did the right thing. I'm going to find that story quickly about the anonymity. I'll give you the judge's reasoning on why complaints should be anonymous to the City of Ottawa. And if you're waiting to make a comment on Mo's dangerous fence, please be patient. We're going to be right back, right on the phones after these quick messages.
You're listening to Ron